Hi everyone, Sam Silverman, Managing Partner of EB5AN, here with my partner Mike Schoenfeld.
So one of the other topics that we get asked about all the time and that I think it's important to cover are guarantees. So Sam, do you want to talk about the different types of guarantees that are allowed by USCIS, some that might not be allowed by USCIS, and then let's just go through and really dig into what those mean.
So this is definitely a common question that we get from investors, and it typically comes from that first question, which is my money guaranteed, right? And the answer is, it's not, right? When people think guarantee, what they mean is it's in a bank account and nothing can happen to it. When you're doing an EB5 investment, funds have to be at risk. The way the government defines that is the potential for gain and the potential for loss. If EB5 funds are just put into a bank account and they're never spent, they're never used in commerce, they're never spent on construction costs, that is not going to satisfy the requirements of the EB5 program, and that investor is not going to be able to get the permanent green card. So money needs to actually be invested and it needs to be put to work and be at risk. Right now, it does need to be at risk, but how can we minimize that risk? Right? There's a big difference between investing in a company like Microsoft and investing in a company like GameStop, right? Those are two very different types of risks, but they both satisfy that concept of being at risk, right? And so our goal as investors is to identify those projects like a Microsoft. Big balance sheet, been in business a long time, lots of employees, very successful at what they're doing. Now, both Microsoft and GameStop, they're both at risk. We've already established that, but they have different risk profiles, right? And for EB5, we want to try to lower that risk as low as we can while still satisfying that at-risk requirement. And so some of the ways that the government, USCIS, allows us to do that is by providing investors with certain guarantees. And in this case, guarantee is just the name of these documents, right? It's basically a promise from a company to perform or meet a specific requirement. So in our projects, we have three different types of guarantees that we'll typically use. The first is a repayment guarantee, which basically means that at the end of the investment process, there's a company that's providing this guarantee to repay the money. Right? The promise is we're going to repay you the money at the end of the investment period or investment term. The second is a job creation guarantee. And the purpose of that is to make sure that funds are spent appropriately on job creating activities to meet that 10 job requirement per investor. And the last one is the I-526C approval refund guarantee. And the purpose there is that if an investor does not successfully get approved for their temporary green card for any reason, they're getting an accelerated return of their $800,000 back much sooner than having to wait until the end of the project, because the whole purpose of making this investment was to get the green card. And if they're not approved for that, then obviously they want to get their money back as soon as they can and try a different project or move on to something else.
In some questions that we've gotten before, and the job creation and I-526 denial guarantee are very straightforward in how they work. You really need a credible entity standing behind that guarantee to make sure that it makes sense. For example, a job creation guarantee, we make sure that every project we invest in is going to create all 10 of those all 10 of those jobs for the EB5 investors. So we want a company with a lot of assets to say that they're going to complete the project as anticipated. Second, an I-526 denial guarantee quite often has a very large balance sheet behind it, because if the investor's not getting that end of the bargain of not getting the green card, we want to get them their money back as quickly as possible. Now, the guarantee that often gets the most questions is a repayment guarantee, because yes, according to EB5 law, your money does have to be at risk. But what you are able to do is have a larger company or a safer investment where we have a large company with a strong balance sheet guarantee repayment of the loan to the new limited partnership at the end of the term. Now, there is no direct guarantee to individual investors that they are going to get repaid. That is not allowed. That could break the at-risk requirement.